One of the big questions is,
what is money?
For practical purposes, it exists in a series of heterogeneous databases, very different databases.
do you believe in crypto?
Digital currency may be an answer, but it is the highly speculative asset.
I do own Bitcoin.
There is no second best.
Welcome to the Crypto Curious podcast, your weekly crypto crash course. Every Wednesday, join us in the dynamic world of cryptocurrency as we cover everything from major news stories to short, sharp news bites. If you're new to crypto, we recommend starting with our early episodes. We break down the basics and give you a solid foundation to understand the crypto world. Tune in, laugh and learn. It's crypto made easy. This week on the show, September delivers a surprisingly green run. Could this set the stage for an epic fourth quarter? And what exactly does alt season mean? We've got some major updates from the FTX saga, all centered around Caroline Ellison's sentencing. And also, October brings a wave of massive token unlocks. What does this mean for the market? My name's Tracy, and I'm joined by Blake and Craig on the mic. How are you guys?
Pretty good, Trace.
Good, thanks, Trace. How are you?
Good to be back after you two were on the show without me last week. So nice to all be back together to talk all things crypto.
Is that why we got all the 5-star reviews?
To be honest, there was some positive.
I don't think we did. I bottled the intro. I bottled the whole thing, but glad you're back, Trace.
No, look, I did miss you guys. But look, I'm glad to be back and talking about some positive news because it was all a bit of doom and gloom this month, but what a difference a few weeks can make. Because after talking about September historically being a red month for Bitcoin and all the other coin, it's shaping up to be one of the best Septembers ever. Bitcoin has surged around 14% since mid-September, climbing from under 58,000 US dollars to hit over 66,000 US dollars. We have pulled back a little bit and have ended the month with a 7% gain, which is pretty wild considering we started with extreme fear in that fear and greed index that we like to look at, and we are back now up to 61 in the index, boys.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think it just serves you as a reminder of how quick sentiment can change. Even if you listen to the show, I was on the podcast with Trace, I was down in the dumps, complaining about the market, close to giving up. And literally the next episode was me and Blake talking about all the stuff going on rather. So yeah, just a reminder that crypto is a very volatile space. And when it changes, everyone jumps on and it's just crazy. What do you think, Blake?
Well, yeah, usually September's a down month and we did hit some lows or retested some lows in the market. And it's great to see it rebound by the end of the month. Whenever we do have a September that is green, we generally have a positive 3 months thereafter. So fingers crossed the data is an indication of the future.
Yeah, exactly. I think market sentiment is really bullish out there at the moment. I read a stat from Sentiment saying that there was 2-to-1 bullish posts out there in social media at the moment. Everyone's calling for the start of alt season, and we thought it might be a good idea to actually tell you, the listener, what alt season actually is. I think we've probably mentioned it here a couple of times, but let's talk about what we mean when we talk about alt season, guys.
Good old alt season. So alt season is the time when pretty much alts are going crazy. Your uncle, your best mate's buying. Alt isn't any crypto other than Bitcoin. So normally what happens potentially, Bitcoin would lead the way and then the alternative coins like Ethereum, Solana, the Pepe frogs, the memes all start to have their time in the sun. And it's usually marked by Bitcoin's dominance in the market. So what we see generally is in bear markets, the money will flow to Bitcoin. It's the biggest, the safest asset. It's the most reliable asset. It's stood the test of time. And then in bull markets where FOMO might start to kick in, that's when the trickle down economics comes into crypto and things like Ethereum, Solana, and for lack of a better term, shit coins start to pump.
The reason that this happens is that Bitcoin generally leads the market into a bull run. People take profits and then put them into more speculative assets with smaller market caps that move in percentage terms more than what Bitcoin does. Now, an example of that would be Bitcoin potentially on a very bullish day would have Bitcoin move 10% higher, whereas maybe a small altcoin might move 20% in the same day. So people rather allocate to those smaller, riskier assets in a bull market.
Okay, then. So as we head into what could be another one of these alt seasons, what should investors be looking for in these coins, and what should they focus on? What kind of projects? What exactly are pinpointed for these trends?
Well, I think the key thing to watch is the Bitcoin dominance. Now, you can see this on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. It's normally provided on the front page, but it's right now it's sitting at 57% Bitcoin dominance. It's pretty much been up only since the start of the end of the last bear market. Now, end of the last bull run, I should say. And just to give you guys some perspective, it dropped to around 38% in the last bull market in 2021, which kind of crazy that almost 60% of the market can be in Bitcoin, and then during quote unquote alt seasons, it can go down as low as 38%. So that's a really key thing to watch.
Should we just describe that what Bitcoin dominance is? So Bitcoin dominance is the total market cap of all the cryptos and then the percentage of that Bitcoin is made up of. So Bitcoin is the most dominant player in the crypto ecosystem and makes up 58% of the total market cap, with Ethereum making up about another 20%, and then every other coin making up the rest of the total market capitalization of the crypto ecosystem.
And what are you saying at the moment? We're sitting at around 58% at the moment, Craig?
Yeah, well, we're sitting at around 58%. I think the key thing is that it's sitting at the highest rate since March 2021, which as 2021 was kind of start of that crazy alt NFT run that we had from March down all the way to November. So it's a really key indicator that traders and macro investors look at. And I guess the next big thing to look at would be the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, which is also at 3-year lows as well. Yeah, so Ethereum is obviously traded against the US dollar. It can also be traded against Bitcoin. Now, as Blake mentioned before, alt season is when alts start to outperform against Bitcoin. So the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, whereas Ethereum's performance in conjunction with Bitcoin is at 3-year lows. And that generally, when that starts to go up, indicates that alts are now starting to outperform and people turn the risk on. I think it's also probably worth pointing out that just on Ethereum again, I know we talk about it, it's finally seen some ETF flows in the last week. So a lot of macro investors are looking at this and saying, okay, there is appetite for the first time since it's launched. How could they impact this alt season time? So a lot to think about for sure.
It might also be worth talking about the alt season in crypto has generally or previously been driven by narratives, whether it's layer 2 solutions, whether it's NFTs, whether it's meme coins, and generally there's not enough liquidity or not enough trading volume happening within the crypto ecosystem for all these sub-sectors in the crypto sphere to perform well simultaneously. So what we generally find is people will see a sub-asset class do really well, like meme coins. People will take profits and then roll it into new modular blockchains or a new fancy shiny thing. And everyone's always chasing the shiny thing to make money on. And this is really quite a prominent characteristic of the alt season.
All right then, well, if predictions hold and the market cycles come full circle, we're in for a pretty wild ride ahead. So just remember, though, to do your own research before you jump into any of these alts and only invest what you can afford to lose. Let's move on now to our next story. And it's an important update in the FTX saga, a story we've been following for years now, actually. And this one's surrounding Caroline Ellison. She's the former CEO of Alameda Research, and she's now been sentenced to 2 years in prison and ordered to forfeit $11 billion for her role in the massive fraud that brought down FTX, the exchange. This is a much lighter sentence than some expected, given the scale of the collapse. But on top of that, Blake and I were talking the last couple of days. We didn't even understand that she had that $11 billion.
I did a bit of research. I couldn't find it.
Well, wasn't she the head of Alameda Research, which would have had way more than that?
But I mean, it wasn't talked about anywhere at all. Interesting. What are your thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, look, I think it's crazy that she gets 2 years, SPF gets 25 years. The judge mentioned that it was due to her cooperation in the case, he couldn't give her a get out of jail free card because of the sheer magnitude of the fraud. This is a case that's the movie's made about this. We're still talking about it 2-3 years later, but still playing out. And I guess it's just crazy that the money that was being moved around for her to have to forfeit $11 billion is just pretty mind-boggling.
But she was, from the word go, really remorseful. Like, she cried the whole time when she was being cross-examined. And we need to remember too that the other FTX execs like Gary Wang and Nashid Singh, they are all still awaiting their sentences, which are to come later this year. So I don't know, what do you think they'll get, because they also cooperated. I wonder whether they'll be in the same jail cell as SBF and P. Diddy.
Look, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but it's definitely one to watch. But I think another interesting thing to maybe talk about is the $16 billion being paid back to users. Have you guys heard about this? What do you guys think will happen with that? And Blake, do you want to give a bit more context?
Yeah, so now that your administration or the liquidation of FTX Global is coming to an end, all of the creditors, including those that held assets on the FTX exchange, are going to be returned, but not in the form of digital assets, in the form of cash. And it makes up about $16 billion US. Now, we know that those using FTX were all crypto enthusiasts, so it'd be very surprising if a large percentage of this doesn't re-enter the crypto market in the coming months, which would be a massive injection to the crypto ecosystem, and I think could potentially push us to the all-time highs.
And it's still $16 billion, so crazy money that we're talking about here.
Well, look, as we've seen, this case continues to unfold, has done for years, and we'll see how it plays out over the remainder of 2024. On to our next story. We're about to see a mammoth amount of token unlocks over October, over 481 million, spread across the likes of Su, Immutable X, Aptos, Axie Infinity, Starnet, Arbitrum, and ApeCoin. But the mother load is coming in the form of 1.1 billion from Celestia, or the TIA token, which is actually representing 81% of its circulating supply.
Token unlocks, they might seem a little bit scary, and just to refresh your memory on what they are. So generally when a token will raise money to investors, they say, we'll take $1 million from you, or give you 25% of your tokens on year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. And generally, as the project matures and builds, investors will start to get their tokens that they invested in at the pre-seed round. So as Tracy mentioned, there is a bunch of tokens being unlocked. And generally, this can be seen as quite a bearish situation, as a lot of VCs are getting their capital gains, they're getting their profits. But also there's been many cases where after a token unlock, the price actually goes up because these investors might be doubling down. But Blake, what's your general thoughts on token unlocks in the market?
It depends really what the purpose of the token unlock is for. There's various reasons the tokens can be unlocked. It could be an ecosystem fund for the project. For example, it could go to funding developers or marketing, which is a positive situation. In the negative, it'd be VCs that are already 10 or 100 times in the money from their investment, and they'll be waxing their tokens as quickly as possible, which is obviously a bearish situation. So it really depends on which allotment of tokens are being unlocked.
If you wanted to hear a bit more about token unlocks, you can head back, folks, to episode 124, where we do a little bit more of a deep dive into those for you. But as far as the TIA token goes, what will happen there? Because there's a risk of obviously oversupply and the price going down, would you not say?
That's a crazy unlock, a $1.1 billion unlock, 80% of the circulating supply. I guess for the long term, it's probably good news for the project. It becomes a bit less. Is it better to unlock it all at once than wait on a 5-year period? I'm actually not sure of the answer on that. But the whole form of high, fully diluted valuation, I just feel like the market's smartening up to this a little bit, and people don't want to be VC's exit liquidity. And we're seeing it a little bit with Sui. Sui has been running to all-time high over the last few weeks, when everyone knows that this $115 million unlock is coming legit this week, but the market of Sui is still going up. So is it price manipulation? I have no idea.
All right, folks, let's leave that one there and we'll go to a break. And when we come back, our short, sharp news bites. Welcome back. You're listening to the Crypto Curious podcast, and time now for our short, sharp news bites brought to you by the Bamboo app. Who's up first?
Trace, got one for you. Your favorite guy, Donald Trump, he's now opened up his project to the waitlist user base. He's been tweeting about it. I promise to make America great again, this time with crypto. World Liberty Finance is planning to make America the crypto capital of the world. The whitelist for eligible persons is officially open. So the soon-to-be potential president is now a Twitter influencer for a DeFi app. I've seen it all. Only in America.
What's up next, Blake?
So Visa is launching a platform to help banks test tokenized assets and smart contracts, advancing the integration of real-world assets on the blockchain. This is a massive move. Obviously, there's lots of providers in the marketplace providing this infrastructure for financial institutions to tokenize digital assets, and it's interesting that Visa's coming to market with one, trying to come in with the bigger brand and their pre-existing relationships to take market share on this. So yeah, I think we'll see more of this.
Okay, and a bit of news last night from the Fed in the US. The Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, announced that the central bank is in no rush to implement more significant rate cuts despite recent easing efforts. He hinted at 2 smaller rate reductions by the end of the year, pointing to a steady labour market and cooling inflation. Bitcoin did see a boost following the first rate cut in September. Powell did emphasise that future decisions would be guided by incoming economic data. So what they're saying there is he's saying 2 more by the end of the year, where I think we'd priced in hopefully 4 more. Again, that information last night didn't affect the markets too much. I think we went down 2%, but we shall see. What's up next, Craig?
Exciting one for us, Trace. The BlackRock Spot ETF for Ethereum has surpassed $1 billion in value for the first time. I touched on it before, but they saw their highest weekly inflows ever in the last few weeks. There was a $60 million day, $90 million day. So the appetite's there, and it's made a lot of investors like myself feel a lot more relieved.
Fantastic. I've got an interesting one here. The Cardano founder, Charles Hoskinson, who's also a founder of Ethereum, has called Ethereum a dictatorship. And Ethereum is reliant on Vitalik Buterin, who is also a co-founder, for its direction. So Charles was talking about this at Token 2049 a couple of weeks ago, which is quite controversial. Clearly, I think, is having a stab at Ethereum because Cardano has just handed over their governance management to the community. So this is obviously quite strategic. Now, Charles Hoskinson, incredibly successful guy. We found out he's only 35 years old.
Even though he looks like he's 65 years old.
He's obviously a pretty smart chap to have accomplished all that he has.
Okay, so this is interesting. Robinhood and Revolut could issue their own stable coins. The fintech companies are considering creating these. The market has proven to be incredibly lucrative, as demonstrated by Tether's $5 billion in profits for the first half in 2024. Now, I popped this one in the news today, and I then read a little news article literally half an hour before jumping on here, and Robinhood have since said that this is just a rumour and there's no concrete plans. So that to me says that they are considering it.
If there's any payment process or any payment app out there, I would be very surprised if they do not eventually launch their own stablecoin. They provide their own token where they can invest in safe bonds. They can use that money for their own treasury or whatever and earn a return on it versus using PayPal stablecoin. So PayPal's seen it. It's working for them. And yeah, Tether, what a business. $5 billion in profit, has like 50 employees or something ridiculous.
Exactly right, Craig. It might be worth pointing out that Tether has done more revenue than BlackRock, and Tether has 50 or 200 employees. And let's just check how many BlackRock has. BlackRock has 16,000 staff, 89 offices, and 38 countries, which really just goes to show the efficiency and gives us a little bit of a glimpse of how powerful this technology is.
That's a lot of staff.
To make $5 billion, yeah.
Okay, folks, I think that's it for the news. But yes, welcome to October, 1st of October as we record. Let's see how this month and the remainder of 2024 goes. But thanks for diving into this crypto world with us today. If you've enjoyed the journey, bring along a friend to the next episode. We're all part of this evolving crypto narrative. Until then, stay curious, stay connected. You can do this by joining our Crypto Curious Facebook group or our Instagram page. Be sure to hit the subscribe button where you're listening to the podcast right now. If you're looking to dollar cost average into the crypto market, have a look at the brand new Bamboo app. And don't forget to use the code CURIOUS for $10 of free Bitcoin to get you started. There's a link in the show notes below. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.